Hi, I'm Chris Groda,
Hi, I'm Jeff Watley.
and this is
Family
Talks. 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse number 7 says, "Husbands, dwell with your wives in an understanding way." I want to talk to you about how to do that today right here on this program. Did you know here in the state of Texas that if you want to be a tradesman plumber, that you have to have 2 years of experience as an apprentice, plus 24 hours of classroom training, state approved, and then you have to pass the state board examination to get your license. If you want to be a journeyman plumber here in the state of Texas, you've got to have 4 years or 8,000 hours of experience as an apprentice, or a plumbing experience rather. And then on top of that, you have to have 48 hours, that is 48 hours of classroom training plus a state exam. And if you want to be a master plumber in the state of Texas, you have to have 8,000 hours of experience as a plumber, and you've got to have a state board exam. Now, you think about that. Just to do plumbing in the state of Texas, you have to have a lot of training. But to get married, all you got to be is single, 18 years old, and once you go down to the courthouse and get your marriage license, you have to wait 72 hours. They call it a cooling off period. And then you have to have $71, or you can get your marriage license for $11 if you take a state certified premarital counseling that's available online and get signed off by a minister that is approved to talk you through those courses in your local community. Well, to me, that's far too little training for marriage. What we might know about marriage from a state-run premarital source of education, maybe what we picked up at home, sometimes that might even be not a very good education at all. But I'm finding that we enter into marriage contracts with not enough information. And so we want to talk about that today. At least talk about things on this program that will help us be better at our marriages. And that's the goal. You know, the complaint of a lot of women who filed for divorce on their husbands is that their husband was too domineering or too critical or too controlling, or that he trampled over his wife's self-worth, or put too much ahead of her, like too much work, too much business, too many friends ahead of his wife, that he never listened, that he spied on his wife, or that he never gave his wife any freedoms. Now, those are a lot of the complaints that I hear divorced women who file for divorce on their husbands. But you know, many marriages could be much better if they would just stop approaching their marriage with a storybook expectation and start realizing the differences between men and women. You know, the golden rule would go a long way in relationships. Ephesians 5 and verse number 33, Paul said that husbands are to love their wives as themselves, and the wife is to see that she respects her husband. Husbands need to love their wives. Wives need to feel loved, and husbands need to feel respected. But 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse number 4 says that love is patient and love is kind. And so today we want to talk about how to put into practice the biblical principle of kindness. Jeff.
Well, I think Chris just nailed it and did such a wonderful job. But in that Ephesians chapter 5, verse 33, he mentioned, go back a few verses, and it says that Christ loved the church. It's like a bride. It's his body. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. It's that connection there. And the word for this week that I'm trying to really focus on is kindness. And like you said in 1 Corinthians 13:4, love is not proud, it's not puffed up. It follows after it's saying that love is long-suffering and is kind. And I think that neat thing is that when you look up and define your terms, kind is not just being nice. The Greek actually has an idea to where kind is being useful. We looked at compassion last week, and it's not just feeling sorry for someone. It's actually helping out in the needs to help them to be encouraged and to be comforted and to be lifted. And that's the way that we show sympathy. And kindness is something like love that is shown. It's an action. And so I want us to think about if Christ asked us, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, Paul would write through inspiration, then I'm thinking, and you said the golden rule would be great. I want to know if love is long-suffering, is kind, it doesn't parade itself, it's not boastful, it's not puffed up, 1 Corinthians 13:4. Then what about the platinum rule I call? It's Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 through 5. It says, let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, esteem others even better than yourself. See, that just takes it to, Christ says, as you would have others do unto you, do also to them. Why not do better to them even than you expect? And I'm telling you, men, you try out loving your wives, and you can't. I'm telling you, it's just amazing. You love them like they should, and they love you so much back. And it's a constant, but it goes on to say, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. Philippians 2:5. So that's the kind of mind. This kindness is consideration. It goes right along with compassion. It goes right along with love. It's something that is useful. It's something that Chris brings out lately in that 1 Peter 3, that we're to dwell with our wives. And so the idea is not just being present, it's having your presence that's emotional, that's attachment, that's being engaged. Not just engaged before you get married, but you remain engaged in the relationship. And so I think our focus on Colossians 3:12, it says to put on or to be clothed. And I think that's a great idea, to be clothed with compassion or the hearts of compassion. And the next one is kindness. We understand putting something on, don't we? And so when you're clothed, you're completely covered. You're there, and you're able to show that compassion, that consideration, that the idea that it's not just a once and done, it's a consistency. Kindness is not just an act, it's a habit. And so this is the kind of thing that we want to try to express, is that you make sure that we're trying our best to make these things a way of life.
My wife had on her desk, the last job she had in working in the public, this was on her desk where people who were dealing with her could see it. It says, in a world where we can be anything, be kind. Now, Rebecca in the Old Testament was really kind. Just give us some of those statistics.
I wanted to write down statistics. In Genesis chapter 24, when Isaac was looking for a bride, and they sent out amongst their kinsmen, and they went out, they sent one of his, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he sent them out with a kind of an entourage. This entourage had 10 camels in it. And they were told that when they come to a well, there'd be a young lady that would meet them there. And of course, it's all planned out, and she is. And this is going to be Rebecca, which will be Isaac's wife. But boy, the test to think, if each camel can drink 30 gallons of water, there's 10 camels, so that's 30 times 10, that's 300 gallons. Now say that she had a clay vessel that could hold up to 5 gallons. Can you imagine how heavy that would be? But just say that'd be 6 trips for every 1 camel, so times 10 camels is 60 trips. Now you got to remember, this camel couldn't be right next to the well. They wouldn't want those things there, so they had to be a little bit of a distance away. So just say that she went to them and dumped it, back and filled it up. They could get back to the next one in just 3 minutes. That would take 180 minutes for all those trips. That's 3 hours straight of not stopping. You think that's kind, to just being saying, hello, how are you doing? Or is that putting it into action and showing kindness? 3 hours of labor. And I'm thinking, what an example in the Bible of, it's almost like Matthew chapter 5 when it says, if he asks you to go 1 mile, go 2. It's that going above and beyond. That's how they're going to know that we're Christians and that we show our love to our spouses. It's not just a bare minimum mentality. It's doing what you can, when you can, and as often as you can.
Helping wash those dishes, helping pick up around the house.
Yes, I like folded towels. It's soothing for me. But I think, it's like the leaning tower of towels. But
whatever we can do to lighten the load
yes,
for our wives and to express appreciation, that's what we want to do. That's the kindness that we're talking about. It's not just being sweet.
Hi, honey, how are you?
But being active.
Showing it.
That's right. All right. Thank you for being with us today here on Family Talks. And remember, may our Family Talks become family practice.
Thank you.